When we talk about international crises, the conversation is almost always about politics, economics, or military strategy, right? But today, we're going to look at the situation in Iran through a completely different lens, a spiritual one, drawn from a series of really profound public statements. And it all kind of boils down to one core question. So let's start right there. In a world that just seems so driven by conflict, what role can our shared human conscience actually play? It's a real challenge, to think beyond the headlines and try to find that deeper connection that might just unite all of us. So here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with a big global call for peace that's aimed at the whole world. Then we'll zoom in on a direct message to Iran's leaders, and then an even more personal one to the Iranian people themselves. And to wrap it all up, we'll circle back to a question that really involves every single one of us. All right, first up, let's look at the big picture, those geopolitical tensions that have brought the United States and Iran to a really dangerous brink. The first appeal is a message to the entire world. What's so powerful here is the acknowledgement that this isn't some simple story of good versus evil. Not at all. The source recognizes that there are real grievances on both sides. You have these global concerns about nuclear programs and regional stability, and that's weighed against the incredible suffering of the Iranian people, from economic collapse to the brutal suppression of protest. It's this very complex, difficult balance that really sets the stage for this call to peace. And here's the crucial point. This call for peace isn't rooted in just one ideology. Nope, it pulls from a whole chorus of global spiritual wisdom. I mean, whether it's Caudai teachings on love, the Christian blessing for peacemakers, the Islamic principle that saving one life is like saving all of humanity, or the Buddhist call for compassion, they all point to the exact same unshakable truth. War is never, ever a costless option. And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway from that global message. The source makes it crystal clear that the only way out, the only path away from total catastrophe, is through mutual understanding and dialogue. It's a direct appeal to choose conversation over confrontation. It's as simple and as difficult as that. Okay, so from that global call, the message gets much more specific, speaking directly to the leaders of the Islamic Republic of Iran. This is really an appeal that gets to the very heart, the very conscience of what it means to govern. The appeal to Iran's leaders is grounded in this core Caudai teaching. And the logic is simple, but wow, is it powerful. If humanity is truly one family, then how can a government ever justify violence against its own people? The source suggests that this kind of action just destroys the moral ground that a just society is supposed to be built on. The appeal also brings in principles from within Islam itself, highlighting this incredibly profound Quranic teaching. And this is set against some really disturbing reports from independent observers about large-scale killings and violent crackdowns on demonstrators. So the message uses this shared value to make a powerful point. Every single life is sacred, and taking it doesn't lead to peace, it just leads to deeper and deeper sorrow. And this isn't just some philosophical idea. It actually offers a concrete path forward, a way to heal. The message urges Iran's leaders to take 4 specific steps. First, and most importantly, stop the violence immediately. Second, actually talk to the protesters. Engage with them as citizens, not as enemies. Third, allow access for humanitarian aid and observers. And finally, number 4, choose the path of dialogue, not suppression. And this section wraps up with this really powerful statement. It frames the choice for Iran's leaders not as one between order and chaos, but between 2 totally different ways to build a society. One is built on fear and control, which is always fragile, and the other is built on justice and trust, which is the only kind that can actually endure. Now the focus shifts one last time. The tone gets a lot more personal, speaking directly to the people of Iran. This is a message of solidarity and of hope in a time of just immense suffering. I absolutely love this analogy from the source text. It suggests that the human spirit, that demand for dignity, it's like a force of nature. You can block it or suppress it for a while, sure, but it doesn't just disappear. Eventually, that pressure builds and it will find a new way forward. It's a powerful message that suffering is not the end of their story. This is maybe the toughest piece of advice in the whole thing. It acknowledges the deep, real anger and grief that people are feeling, but it urges them to protect their own humanity. It's a call to resist that temptation to let pain harden into hatred, which, as the source says, wounds the person who feels it just as much as the target. So, this message of solidarity really culminates in a series of simple, direct affirmations. To the people of Iran, it says, "You are seen." Even if you feel completely isolated, the conscience of the world is watching. You are remembered. Your courage and your losses, they're not just fleeting moments in a news cycle. No, they are being etched into the shared moral story of our time. And finally, you are not forgotten. In a world that moves so incredibly fast, this is a pledge that your quest for dignity will not be abandoned. So, these three messages, one to the world, one to the leaders, and one to the people, they bring us right back to that big question we started with. And in the end, we're left with this final, enduring question. After looking past all the geopolitics and right into the heart of this crisis, we just have to ask ourselves, can our shared humanity, that spiritual connection that binds us all, can it truly be a path to peace? The source material suggests it absolutely can be, but the final answer? Well, that's up to all of us.